If you want to see how I turned this old, outdated camper into this more modern, nice home on wheels, stay tuned. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. I am super excited for this one because this thing behind me is finally renovated and I'm ready to take you in and show you it. So for the last month or so I've been renovating this 1969 Shasta travel trailer, and it wasn't in bad shape when we got it, but it wasn't really laid out exactly how I liked it. So I got an idea and a picture in my mind of how I would like it laid out, and usually once I get a picture in my mind, I'm pretty much determined to make it happen. So that's what I did. So I want to first off start by saying this is my first time doing anything like this. So there's a few things I'm gonna add to it and change a little bit that I'll go over at the end of the video. But in the meantime, if you have any questions, if you get any enjoyment out of it, or get any ideas for maybe your own remodel, please hit that thumbs up button because it'll really help out the video. And also I'm gonna go over all the things I did to it relatively quick just to keep this video kind of short. So if you got any questions regarding any of the subjects I go over, definitely don't hesitate to leave a comment. I try to respond to everyone. Alrighty, with all that said, let's jump into it. Alrighty guys, here we are. So it took quite a bit of work to get it up to this point, so I'm going to give you a quick run through of what I did, and then I'm going to go over everything with you. So going way back, right when I brought it home, like I said, the inside wasn't in terrible shape, but I tore everything out. Gutted it right down to just the studs and the shell. Took all the old insulation out, and they also had a bunch of outlets and power in here. It all worked. It was all actually freshly redone, but I tore that out as well, and I'll get into why I did that towards the end of the video. So after I had everything gutted, it was then time to start rebuilding. So I started from the ground up with the floor, no pun intended there. I used stick-on vinyl tile that my father-in-law gave us, so huge thank you to him for that. It was pretty easy to put on. You just kind of rolled out some adhesive, and then each tile is 18 by 18 inches square, so you let that adhesive dry a little bit and then just stick it on. It's pretty straightforward from there. I then fixed a few leaks around the windows and re-caulked them, and I actually completely tore out the front window because where it was framed in around it, it was completely rotted. Got a little picture with Cam Man there. Completely reseated that and reframed that. So it was then time to insulate it. I hemmed and hawed about what to do for insulating this thing. I was just gonna get the normal fiberglass and then the insulation board, but I ended up splurging and paying the money for the spray insulation. It was the kit that comes in like the little propane tank things that I got from Home Depot. This was not cheap. It was actually the most expensive option, but a couple reasons that turned me towards that is yeah, the R value is great on it. It also adds like some structural strength too. It dries really hard, and because it's closed cell foam, it doesn't absorb water. If there was any existing leaks, that was pretty much going to seal it up. After the insulation was all in, it was time for the walls. So I chose this white kind of groove paneling. I think it's like a kind of like a smaller wainscoting, just to sort of dress it up a bit. Glued and nailed it to the studs, and this was not a pretty process when I was doing it. Unlike a house, there is nothing square in a camper, and of course mine wasn't. My driveway's at a slant, so it wasn't parked level. So it was really tough to cut around the edges, you know, the curved front. That part's not perfect, but the ending result kind of hide a lot of that and came out relatively good. So it was then time to start building the beds and the couch. This back bed I just basically straight made out of 2x4s. We bought this tri-fold mattress. I measured the dimensions of that and built the bed a little bigger than that. It's a queen mattress, and me, Chelsea, and both of my large dogs are going to sleep in there. So it'll be a little tight, but I built up the sides of these just kind of for like a little separation and aesthetic purposes. I put these curtains on. I basically put these curtains on for the sake of this video because I don't see them lasting that long. Enjoy it while it's there. But it does dress it up a little bit and makes it look good. And then same goes for this couch that I'm sitting on. I built this out of 2x4s. But for this, we bought a twin futon mattress. And as you can see, it's curved up on the back to serve kind of as a couch. But I also designed this to be a pull-out bed. It's kind of like a slat design, so they spread out from each other. And I put these stained pieces of 2x4s on it to serve as legs, but when it's pushed in, it kind of looks like trim pieces, but you pull it out and it serves as legs to hold up the bed. This was actually really easy to make, and it turned out really well. It's going to work great for where Cam, my son's going to sleep. Right now he's so young, so we bought a bed rail to go from here to there, and he'll sleep like this. But once he gets older, this pulls out to about here, so we'll still be able to get on and off the bed. That's going to serve really good for not only that, but for resale purposes. Then it was on to the cooler storage. I knew I didn't want like a fridge in here. I wanted to kind of keep it, minimalist, but have it look good. Plus I got a Yeti cooler, and it holds ice for multiple days. So I made that right here where the camera's sitting on right now. I made it like a kind of a flip up design. So you flip the table up, tuck it down in the back, and then you can open the cooler, get whatever you need out of it. And it's pretty easy to get the cooler in and out of here if you got to drain water or whatever. Reused this piece of wood. This is something I'm eventually going to replace. I'm going to make this tabletop a little bigger because as you can see it's pretty small. But this is definitely something I'm going to change, but the idea is there. And I'm gonna keep this same idea but replace the tabletop. So for the kitchen, which is right to the left of me, to the right side of you guys. Found these kitchen cabinets on Facebook Marketplace for a pretty good price, and they were wood, but as you can see our accent color is kind of gray. So we repainted those to a gray color. I didn't want to keep them wood because I knew I was going to be getting butcher block for the countertop, and I didn't really want wood on wood. So I think it turned out really good with the painted cabinets, and the butcher block countertop looks really good. As far as the stove goes, I just bought this 2-burner stovetop. It just runs on propane. The propane tank will go underneath, and that thing works pretty good. And then I also bought this stainless steel sink, and for the sink, I did this foot pump design. So there's no power to run the sink. You just use your foot, and this ultimately is super simple, minimalist, and will use a lot less water than like a pump would. Basically, this runs on just 2 water storage containers. They are 6 gallons apiece. One is fresh water, one is gray water. The pump is tied into the freshwater one, which runs up the faucet, which then that water goes through the drain into the gray water tank. So that's pretty self-explanatory. That was super easy to hook up. I highly recommend that if you're interested in doing a remodel yourself or you're building out a camper van. That's an awesome design. And it's super easy, requires no power. So for this kind of area back here, it's kind of to the left of the couch and then to the left of the kitchen as well. Right now that is going to serve as just kind of a storage area for our bags and all my camera gear and stuff. Eventually I might put like a little tabletop there that'll have storage underneath it, but for now that works. And then you can see behind the kitchen, the way the front of my camper's designed, it kind of jutted out. So I built up the wall level behind that, and then just kind of built a little shelf up to the window just to take up that space. And we've just got these little gray, kind of decorative little bins to put stuff in. Right now there's just miscellaneous stuff in there, but for napkins or forks and spoons, stuff like that. And then for the curtains, we just got some fabric from Joann and Fabrics, and Chelsea used a sewing machine and ended up doing all the curtains by hand with a sewing machine, and she did a great job on that. And that really dressed up the inside as well. For the outside, we didn't do a ton. We just kind of sanded it down and repainted it the way it was, and it really cleaned it up a bit. There is dents in it. I mean, the thing's 50 years old, so obviously there's going to be dents in there, and I think it adds character. That's what I keep telling myself, at least. So that's basically it. Now I'm going to let you know why I didn't leave the power in here. So first off, we very, very rarely camp where there is power, where you can drive up and plug in. Since I've been camping for the past few years or so, I think we've only camped at a place to plug in like once. Maybe twice, and we really didn't use much of it anyway. I did think about doing a solar system setup, but I ended up opted against that, and here's why. So for my woodworking projects and making frames, just all the projects and stuff I do, I use Milwaukee tools. They're all battery operated. And the batteries on them are phenomenal batteries. They last a long time. And Milwaukee, in their lineup, has a lot of things that I can use camping. So they have a fan that can run off their batteries. They have these lights that run off their batteries, and those lights will also plug a USB charger into them, so we can charge our phones or whatever else runs off of USB. And they also even have a vacuum that runs off a battery, and this thing works phenomenally well. So I bought one of them to leave in here and just use in my garage as well, but I also use that for at home and stuff. But alright, I'm starting to get a little bit off subject here, but anyway, those work really well. And since I was already invested in Milwaukee and all those batteries and for the furniture I make and everything else, I figured, why spend the money on solar? Let me try this first, since I'm already invested in all this. So I ended up buying them, and we haven't camped yet, but I have used them in here while working on it, and they work great. Since I already had that was super easy, and I didn't really feel like messing around with solar panels, so I think that's going to work really well. So a few things I plan to do is, underneath the couch where I'm sitting is a wide open space, so I plan to cut like a drawer or a cupboard down here. Also underneath the table where the camera's sitting on, underneath the tabletop where the cooler is, there's some space down there. And same as under this bed. I plan on cutting a little cupboard here, so there should be plenty of storage once I do that, but I'm basically sick of doing this thing. I'm ready to camp in it. I'm glad it's done. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you got any questions, definitely feel free to ask. Please subscribe for more videos, and definitely hit that thumbs up button. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you for watching, guys.